You know things, I know some too. Sit right down, the femsplain 'em to you. If there's a thing you wanna explain, these two feminists can entertain. Nerdy stuff, sexy stuff, so much to know. Tune in for the Femsplain Show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be talking to you, Diana.
Hi, Avalon. This is a private conversation that no one else gets to listen to. Welcome to that.
Why didn't we format it that way? That would have been so much better.
All right. Stark shift in the entire podcast. This is a private conversation.
Yeah, between two girls, like one-on-one, like kind of like a clubhouse podcast. Like a girls-only clubhouse podcast. Yeah, we're like two queer femme individuals are talking about whatever they like. They're talking about flowers, boys, Spice Girls, the color pink, being bad at math but good at communications.
Parking. We're bad at parking, right?
Hoping that we never have to parallel park.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to developing huge breasts and periods.
Yeah, we talk about our periods exclusively on this podcast.
And nail art.
Yeah. Oh, totally nail art. So, even though this is a girls-only clubhouse podcast and a very private conversation that none of you are invited to, it doesn't actually mean that you're not invited. We actually want you to come and listen, laugh, and learn with us on this podcast journey.
Yeah, but it's really important to know that you can listen, but you cannot talk to us, because we think it's really important that we occupy this space for just us, because we put a lot of effort into building this clubhouse.
Yeah, it's our treehouse. Get out. No boys allowed.
Yeah, no boys allowed.
No
anyone allowed.
All right, so last week on Femsplain,
The fuck did we talk about last week?
We talked about Neopets.
Oh my god, I thought we were talking about Neopets right now for some reason.
For some weird, serious conspiracy of a reason.
Wow, I forgot we already did that.
No, we talked about Neopets last week, and it was mega fun. And I don't know about you, but I've been playing with my Neopet, and I have been keeping up with it. Have you fed Diana the pterodactyl or whatever the fuck? Diana the bird?
We recorded. Not since I did it while we were recording. But after we stopped recording last time, I did stay on there for about half an hour buying books and making Diana read them. And now Diana is like above average intelligence, because I felt badly that was your stat.
That my intelligence was low?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I'm more like a wisdom than an intelligence. I get it.
I think both.
It's fine.
Have you created a new Neopet named Avalon yet?
I haven't, because I need to accumulate more funds, because Mar, the Mirka, is starving. So
abandon that Mar, the Mirka.
Look, I
got you a pet, Diana.
Well, all right.
It's the cheapest one. It was made out of cardboard.
Oh, that came in your introduction.
Well,
packet.
But I went out of my way to equip you with it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Diana, why haven't you talked about my haircut yet on the podcast where all the listeners
that's
can see?
Right. Because Avalon got a brand new shiny haircut, and her haircut is now short and cute, and it's just like a little bit bobby, but it's got a little curl to it.
I feel a little flappery, yeah.
Yeah, a little flappery. It's real fun, like Avalon is in her real life.
Yeah.
But also, in addition to looking up Neopets stuff and doing Neopets things, I also maybe stumbled.
Is the verb.
Neopetting.
What'd you stumble on?
All right, it's not so much stumbling when you open up Archive of Our Own and start searching, but I went and found some Neopets fan fiction.
My favorite!
Which I knew there would be.
Oh,
I just really didn't understand what the extent would be like. So anyway, I'll send you more in private, but like what I just want to highlight is that if everyone could go look up the fan fiction Shake Your Milky Chocolate Shirt, by Raven
Oh!
Blue. The tagline, the you know, the hook to try to get you to open this is just the quote, "Pregnant Dakota promised me his firstborn." So I just want everyone to go ahead and read that fan fiction and get back to me. I want notes. I want...
Did you... The pronouns? You said the pronouns correctly in that? That was how it was written?
Yeah.
Okay. Not going to question it.
Nope.
Just wanted to question it, and now I'm not going to question it.
No, don't question it anymore. Anyway, that's what we did last week. The fuck are we doing this week? I think we need to bring in an expert.
Oh, thank goodness.
A man expert.
Fly him in.
Penis. We need a penis to tell us.
Yeah. Fly in that penis.
Yep. He's going to write this topic with his dick and tell us what it's about.
In the sky.
In the sky writing.
Yeah.
In a mansplain minute. Ooh, everything's explained. In a mansplain minute. Ooh, tell the ladies what to say. In a mansplain minute. Putting 1 minute on the man watch and go. Rent. Do I know about Rent? Yeah, I think I know a little bit about Rent, okay? I saw it on Broadway when I was living in New York City. You know, Manhattan. Let me guess, you like Seasons of Love? That's cute. I can sing every line of Rent. Don't believe me? Here we go. December the 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From here on in, we shoot without a script. See if anything comes of it instead of my old shit. First shot, Roger, tuning the Fender guitar he hasn't played in a year. This thing won't tune, so we hear. He just got back from half a week of withdrawal. Are you talking to me? Not at all. Hold, damn it. And that's the Mansplain Minute.
Wow. Okay. Well, he's passionate.
Yeah, he really likes Rent.
Yeah. Which is lucky because I really like Rent. And there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to femsplain about this show in particular. Like, I would love to do other things in musical theater, but this has been a topic that I've wanted to talk about since probably early on when we started the podcast.
I want to challenge the legitimacy of this topic.
All right, I know.
Irrelevant.
Avalon hates it. Avalon hates it. It's irrelevant, blah, blah, blah. Avalon,
what?
I know that you want to be shitty about this topic, but
I'm gonna be. I'm just starting to warm up.
Yeah, all right. Well, take your time, I guess. So, all right, just to appease Avalon and also the listeners, probably, hopefully, Rent is a musical. It is a musical that ran on Broadway starting in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it was a musical written by Jonathan Larson that was based on an old opera called La Boheme in the late 1800s that focused at the time on poor artists and their struggle with not only just being struggling artists, but also with tuberculosis, which was at the time that was written was the big
you're referring to La Boheme
disease. Yeah. Rent, now taking up that mantle and making it modern, was talking about poor artists in New York City and their struggle with things like AIDS and evictions and other modern day struggles that mirrored that. So it is still a phenomenal show. But it was in particular a very pivotal show for very many reasons, and that's why I've wanted to femsplain about it, because it's not just a musical; it's an important musical, and I live and die by that. So
yeah,
anyway.
I think it is an important cultural milestone. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Okay. I'm surprised to learn that it started on Broadway. I would have assumed that it was one of those things that was like off Broadway and then it like got popular and then they brought it to Broadway.
Okay,
not like
well,
Mary Poppins, but like
Yeah. No, it actually does have an interesting story. It didn't immediately start on Broadway. It was kind of built from scratch. So Jonathan Larson, who wrote this show, one of the first actors that he picked up for this show was Anthony Rapp, who for that everybody knew from like Dazed and Confused. And that was his like he had a couple of like small roles in film and media, and he was acting. But at this time when he met Jonathan Larson, he was like waiting tables and doing survival work. So he meets Jonathan Larson, who's got this vision, and he actually was being cast as Jonathan Larson's self-insert character, the like observer character, the one that's not really necessarily feeling like he's affected directly by all of these horrible things he's seeing around him, but that it's affecting all the people he loves. And so he's the cameraman, the narrator, the person who's watching it happen and feels like it needs to be told.
Yeah.
So that was Jonathan Larson's vision, what he wanted to do. It was definitely a labor of love. It was definitely a ground up project. And they started with a lot of those actors that we now know as the original cast were either very little known, or in the case of the actor that played Roger, he was never before had done any acting, period.
You're talking about the play or the film cast?
For both, actually. The film cast was mostly...
That's unusual.
All the original, except for, obviously, Rosario Dawson. The actress that played Mimi in the original Broadway cast was pregnant when they did the film.
Oh, that must be frustrating. Wait.
Very, because she's iconic.
Wasn't Mimi the annoying one?
Mimi's the one that you don't like because of the Spanish babies line.
Oh, Rosario Dawson. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that Mimi was the annoying one.
The annoying one.
And I was like, that girl is so famous. She must have been in the original. What the hell?
Oh, that's Idina Menzel.
Yeah.
Who plays Maureen, who is written to be an annoying character.
I know.
She's and she, she does it well. Mimi.
Ugh, that name is so gross. Makes me think of like what someone in Connecticut calls their grandma.
Amazing. Well, Mimi Marquez is
obsessed with Spanish babies.
Obsessed with, she says it one time. She's obsessed with
cats, Spanish babies, and heroin.
Well, she is unfortunately obsessed with heroin. Therein lies the problem. But Mimi is actually the only character whose name is literally translated from the La Boheme character that she's based off of.
That makes sense.
Everyone else has like sort of like Roger's like Rodolfo, and Benny is, I think, Benoit, and like they have like they're sort of, the character names are sort of derived from the originals, but Mimi is the only one that's exactly the same. And because hers is literally, she's the character with whose HIV struggle is the most I guess focal or poignant.
Yeah, and she's straight.
And because she
Because they had to, if you got an HIV positive gay character, HIV positive straight character, who's going to pull through?
I think I missed the part where Mimi Marquez is straight, but this show obviously in my modern lens would have one problematic part that I would call it, and it is not Mimi Marquez. It is not an outfight anyone. Angel is perfect, and he's perfectly portrayed, and he's wonderful. But it is actually Maureen. Maureen is the problematic part. She's the only bisexual character, and she's a chronic cheater, and that is a fucking hella bad stereotype.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You said
that.
And
that's the one that annoys me the most. Honestly, in terms of representation, the show was way ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time, for sure.
Way ahead. In the case of Angel Dumas-Chouinard, he is never explicitly referred to as trans. He's more referred to as a drag queen, as somebody who's gender fluid. He refers to himself by both pronouns at different points in the show, and so does everyone else. So it's kind of not a my for a while I kind of was thinking that it was a sloppy or kind of problematic portrayal of a trans person, but then but then on rewatching it, I realized that they never address him as being trans. They explicitly kind of portray Angel as gender fluid or gender non-conforming more so than anything else. So I love that character. In terms of Mimi Marquez, I also love her for many reasons. Like the fact that she's a stripper.
I was about to say you just like her because she's a stripper, but then I didn't because I thought that was mean.
No, it's not mean. It's real. So she's a stripper. That's what she does. But her redemption arc is all about her needing to, one, quit doing heroin and to start taking care of her illness, and has nothing to do with her needing to quit her job and like do something better. Like that's always the redemption arc in media for strippers. It's like you need to escape the life. That's like your redemption arc. Do you have a problem with her
being a stripper and a drug addict though?
Well, the thing is that's super common. I mean, you get it's just a not that it is a necessary part of that lifestyle, but it is a common thing that you see, especially among younger dancers and especially among inner city dancers, because working those hours, working in that party lifestyle, just like how drug use is super common in every type of entertainment industry.
You're right.
Stripping and sex work in general has about the same statistical drug use as any other entertainment job. Musicians and other people who do weird hours, late nights, lots of parties, things like that. That is just realistic.
Well, I think drugs are bad.
Well, I do. I obviously think drugs are bad, and I think that they're especially bad if you are already very ill and need to get better. But her struggle with nihilism was what her character arc was about. She needed to give a shit about herself, and she needed to not destroy.
Did she need to give a shit about herself because she was validated by a relationship?
It was with her and Roger, which every relationship in this, besides Collins and Angel, is fucked up. Yeah. They're all the romantic relationships are all shitty and fucked up.
Yeah.
Which, not to call anybody out, but somebody tried to tell me that the relationship between Collins and Angel was toxic because they were stereotypical, and like, go fuck yourself. But anyway, that's a different point. So with Mimi and Roger he can't and has not let go of the fact that his ex and him did heroin, got AIDS by using probably dirty needles and off the street drugs.
What?
Sharing.
I don't remember this part. Maureen has AIDS?
Oh, no, did I say Maureen?
You said his ex. Wasn't that his ex?
No, okay, I'm sorry.
No,
so
it's okay.
Roger's girlfriend, April, it's in the first line of the play.
All right.
Roger's ex, April, left a note on their bathroom mirror saying, "We've got AIDS," and then slit her wrist in the bathroom. That's the start of the show.
Was that in the movie?
Yeah, in the movie they show more. In the play, it's just Mark says that.
Yeah,
he just says that literally out loud and goes, his girlfriend April left a note saying, "We've got AIDS," and then slit her wrist in the bathroom. In the movie, they fucking show they show them getting diagnosed together. They show them shooting up together. It's like really, they get pretty explicit in the movie.
I hate needles. So maybe I was closing my eyes.
I hate needles as well. But so Roger's issue is that him and his girlfriend in his rock star days, so it's similar, like he was when he's young in his 20s, like living as a musician in New York City, did a lot of drugs with his, hot young girlfriend, and they got AIDS. She couldn't deal, killed herself. He's trying to live, but he's at the same time not really living. He's not really taking care of himself. He's not leaving the house. He's not engaging with anything. He's assumed in his head that that life is over. And that was one of the things that made this play very important to me and to a lot of other people. So not just in terms of AIDS, in the late 90s, we were still coming off of this the AIDS panic, the AIDS epidemic, the fear, the gay cancer, all of the fears associated with that were still very much alive.
It wasn't Queer Eye time yet.
No, certainly not. So that was a big part of it, but not just with AIDS, because now, even though the social stigma was still there, medication was starting to catch up, and people were starting to, be able to live with this illness, which was something that we didn't think was going to happen. Now, for me, as when the first time I saw this show, I went with my theater group in high school. I was 16 years old. We sat in the front row. Tom Collins spit all over me when he sang the reprise of I'll Cover You. Anyway, it was beautiful. But
I'm surprised. I didn't realize it was still running.
Oh,
I mean, that's
actually, I don't know if it's still running. I mean know that
it was still running when you were in high school.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So I saw. But that was the original Broadway cast that I saw that.
Really?
With. Yes.
They did that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like nowadays a show you got like 3 months of the cast.
Yeah, that's true. So me and my theater group, my friend Ryan, who at the time was still sporting a beard, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And me, a little hidden queer mess happening in my head. In that row, I don't know how many people total were closeted, but it was a lot. And so not only were we sitting there and listening to them shout out, literally in one song in La Vie Boheme, these characters jump on top of a table and shout proudly that they are, I don't, I almost even still feel like I can't say these words, but it was amazing because they literally shout what are commonly known to be gay slurs against the community, but they shout proudly that they are them and sing and dance and make out with each other while they're doing it. And to hear that, not just but instead of the solemn coming out story, instead of the hello, I want you to know and accept me as a homosexual person, which is also still relevant and good. Instead of that, with people jumping up on tables and shouting, I'm a dyke, out to the audience, and getting people cheering, people standing up in the audience and screaming as they're yelling, they yell out these slurs and then yell to you and you and you and you, and the audience jumping up and being to me, and people screaming that because they were being called these slurs now for the first time, and it was being reframed into a positive, into a declaration, which was amazing. For me, yes, that was a huge deal, but this also this overarching theme about illness, and I had just been diagnosed with lupus probably the year before. At the time, everything about that was there was an average of 10 years past diagnosis at the time.
Really?
Yeah. At that time, when I was looking things up, that was the average. Obviously, it was a little skewed. There were factors like women of color who had lupus had a higher rate of death or early death.
Yeah, women of color have a higher rate of any disease death.
Yeah, but it also affects them more. Lupus is known to affect women of color more often. There's a lot of factors there that skewed that, but overall, still, the average being 10 years at that time to a 14-year-old was really, intimidating.
Jesus. I feel like that's an understatement.
Yeah, it was really terrifying.
Yeah.
I, every time I got a cold for, a couple of years, I was like, this is the end. Oh, God.
How was that not part of our anxiety episode?
I'm very Machiavellian. So now on top of that, watching this show that is about, and they say it multiple times explicitly, about living with a disease, not dying from a disease, and that is like a repetitive arc in this story. Is that some of these characters, like Mimi, her inability to quit doing drugs is because she's given up. Roger's defiance against forming relationships is because he's given up. He's just assumed that this disease kills him, and he won't drag anybody into that. Mimi, she's gonna live moment to moment. She's not going to invest in anything. She's not going to go to school or whatever. She's not gonna bother quitting heroin, because why not? This disease is gonna kill her anyway. Their redemption, the two of them, and yes, it does come from forming their relationship with one another, but it is also about deciding that they can live with this disease and that they get to live actual lives. The turning point, really being, well, like Angel's.
I think spoilers are okay. Yeah.
Spoilers are okay. This was written in 1998. Right. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Angel's death, which is, I think it's it's poignant that the healthiest relationship doesn't get to survive, because it is in doing so, it's so damaging to the other characters that it makes them all, like, if Angel and Collins don't get to survive, why would Mimi and Roger, why would anybody get to survive? And they all have to go on their fucking self-destructive journeys together to... Anyway, Avalon, so I'm sorry, because I'm just like, I could just really ramble about Rent all night.
No, you don't owe me an apology for that, but obviously the relevance that it held and holds to your life obviously makes it hard for me to make fun of it.
And now I
feel like I love Rent so much.
I do not accept this. You promised me that you would be shitty about this, and I want to hear it. I want to hear this.
But it's all just, it all seems petty now.
Well, you be petty.
It sounds like a really beautiful show.
It's a really meaningful show. It's a really beautiful show, but at the same time, there are some silly parts. I get it,
All right. So I'm not going to be able to be mean about it, but I will just be honest.
Okay. Hit me with it.
I have to love theater to like theater.
Yeah. You're not like a born and bred theater kid.
Yeah. Sometimes if something really strikes me, I can be super moved by it and super into it. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And Rent is not something that I've seen on stage. I've only seen the film. One of the things that makes me struggle with theater, and this is a preference thing, it's not a bad thing, is when it takes a little bit more of an opera approach, in that conversational dialogue is sing-songy.
Oh, okay. Well, Rent, I mean, obviously.
And I like have a really hard time with that always. Mm-hmm. And that was the case with Rent, which I didn't expect going into it, and it like made me like, oh no, I don't want to watch
and
this.
It wasn't even that bad in the movie too. In the stage play, it's all sing-songy. There's like almost no dialogue.
No, I really struggle with that.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's a me thing. That's not like an objectively bad thing. I want regular dialogue and acting, and then occasional singing or no singing, depending on what the play is.
Yeah. He was really trying to model it after the opera,
and that
so
creatively that decision totally makes sense. But like, it's just always very awkward. and it always takes me out of it. I'd rather them just actually be singing. I don't like the talk singing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get that.
It just makes me crazy. So that's probably 90% of my problem with Rent, is that I could not get emotionally invested because I was just like, oh, why is it doing this right now?
The other 10% is the Spanish babies.
Yeah, I think the other 10% is how much I fucking hate that line in Let's Go Out Tonight, which is already a stupid song. I think that I
love that song. Okay.
I think a lot of the songwriting I think is good, but then the content seems almost always so trite to me that it like trivializes the drama of the whole thing. Like the cool factor that I feel like Rent is going for and does not achieve really undermines the emotions that the story is supposed to be provoking. I would rather it just be like dark straight up than like so playful about the darkness. Like it just doesn't really, it's another thing where it takes me out of it.
Yeah. Well, God, I don't even know how to. Well, all right. So my defense there, I guess, is that I really do like that most of these conversations. These are their daily lives. You know, these are the daily lives of people who are poor artists of different sorts living in New York City in the late 90s. Like, so yeah, you know, they're gonna have. Their dialogue, their communications with each other are going to be kind of mundane some of the time, but then also some of the time they're talking about trying to convince each other to go to, you know, HIV positive support groups, things like that. But I think there's a lot to be said for including those very unimportant conversations. Those like kind of, you know, like
showing those kind of honest moments can be a great sort of juxtaposition to drama, but it was like almost all those moments with the occasional drama, and I would rather like change that ratio. Here's another thing that's a me thing and is maybe going to not make sense.
Okay, I'm curious. I don't think I heard this one.
I have a lot of feelings about New York City as a character that exists in so many of our cultural works of fiction.
Yes.
And in combination with my own personal sort of experiences in New York and feeling about New York, I was not ever in love with New York. I was not ever charmed by New York. And I think I started to grow kind of resentful of the romance and the mythos of New York City. And the role that New York City plays in Rent, I think, kind of like touched that nerve for me, where at the end of the day, because I admittedly like don't get it, like I don't get the New York charm, I'm just like, why the fuck are you living there? Like, why, as artists, like, do you really have to be in this one slum building? Like, you have to not pay rent to your friend and like constantly be facing eviction because you have to be in proximity to what? Like, I feel like all of these people's problems were, like, kind of seated in this, like, New York artist, heroine, dirty, romanticized vibe that I just don't really connect with it.
It's maybe fair to not connect with that because it's a fair argument, like why don't you just go somewhere else to be an artist.
And it's not like I'm actually thinking that they should all like pack up and go to Santa Fe, but I think it's just like, it's not like I think it's a plot hole. It's just something else that keeps me from connecting with it emotionally.
I think that that's just genuinely what Jonathan Larson kind of saw happening to the people around them. They really thought that New York City was the place they had to be.
Yeah. And I think that's true for 80s
real,
and 90s
people,
New York.
Yeah, people feel really, even still, like, very connected to New York City as, you know, as a almost like a character, like you were saying, or like like its own character in the show. And people feel like they, especially if they're artists, especially if they're, you know, involved in something theatrical, like that they have to be in New York City.
Yeah. And that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I just have a thing.
Yeah.
I'm like over New York as a significant placeholder in works
Yeah.
That is not like a criticism that makes sense. That's not something that I feel like they should change. It's just another barrier for me with connecting to it. And if you think about La Boheme, you know, I'm sure that Paris in some capacity, like that mirror was necessary with New York. I don't think that would have necessarily been the same kind of mirror in like Houston. Or Chicago even. No. Chicago probably makes more sense. But I just the gritty New York, I just like don't fucking care.
Yeah. And it's, you know, that's what was being observed. So that was what, you know,
it was honest, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think also part of it, at least, is that if you're part of New York, like Roger's arc is that he does leave. He leaves. Oh, in the movie, they kind of brush. Well, they like it's like 8 seconds in the movie.
It's weird.
It's very weirdly done in the movie, to be completely honest. Especially because like the movie has more time than the stage show to display this entire thing, if they wanted to. But really, you get 8 seconds of like Roger went to Santa Fe.
Oh my god, I used Santa Fe like totally stupidly as an example. I didn't do that intentionally. It's like
a whole big song.
I remember that now. Maybe it was subconscious.
So he goes there alone, which they romanticize it as a group, as like if we all went. You know how people do that? They sit around and go like, we'll escape this hard life and we'll go, you know, do whatever extravagant idea that we have, open up a bar where we're gonna open up a restaurant, whatever it is. But they do that, but then Roger ends up going by himself on his own whim, and it's, you know, it's not idyllic. It's not what he, I guess, imagined in his head. In the film, it's like 8 seconds of him standing on a rock somewhere, and then he goes back to New York. But
it's like a weird
also the price of cars and guitars is really questionable in this fucking film.
Does he sell his guitar for a car?
He sells his guitar for a car, and then sells that same car and gets a guitar again. So like, what the fuck are the prices of... I have always wanted to speak to Jonathan Larson about what he thinks the guitar-to-car currency rate conversion is.
Oh my god, that's so funny. It must have been a hell of a guitar.
Yeah. Or, like, a really dangerous car.
Well, yeah, but the car couldn't have been that bad if it was able to make it that far, because that's a long-ass drive.
Yeah.
Why didn't he buy a bus ticket?
Did he buy a bus ticket? I don't know.
I'm just saying, why not Greyhound it?
I don't know, because I think honestly selling the guitar was supposed to be meaningful in some ways, like giving up on
it was some gift of the Magi bullshit. We've all heard it.
But you know, it could have been a little bit more dramatic. It lasted for 8 seconds, but yeah.
Let's talk about the ending.
Oh, the ending. Okay, I know.
So here's what I remember, because I only watched it once, and it was a lot of years ago, and I was like burnt out by the end.
Okay.
Mimi is looking for attention.
Wow.
Climbs on top of a table.
Wow.
And shoots up.
Wow.
Roger, which is a weird name because I can only think of Doug, sells his guitar so that he can have enough power to apparate magically into the room, which is his own apartment, where she has decided to just pretend like that's where she's shooting up. It's just like no big deal.
Yeah.
And then she dies. And I think it either takes too long or they find her that way. Either way, it's like super melodramatic. And then everybody magically from the entire cast happens to be in the apartment at the same time and lighting millions of candles. And then they do a necromancy ritual, which takes the length of a song. And then she wakes up and she doesn't have AIDS anymore and she's no longer addicted to heroin. The end.
Well, so. First of of all, I do like the necromancy aspect. I would appreciate that addition. All right, so what actually happens is that Roger comes back and learns that no one's heard from Mimi in a while, including Benny, who had been an asshole who, like, strong-armed her into dating him by threatening her and then by also insinuating that because she was a stripper that she would sleep with him in front of Roger, and it was a whole big thing. Anyway, so Benny's an ass. But even Benny was concerned, like, that she disappeared. They're calling the club. She hasn't shown up for work. She hasn't been by the clinic. She's not picking up her medication.
What's a while? How long?
Like a couple of weeks, which in terms of,
So how long it takes to go to Santa Fe, change your mind, and come back?
Yeah, so basically in that time period before, like, basically since their altercation at Angel's funeral, where, so Roger's meltdown is that he moves to Santa Fe, like, has a really interesting relationship with guitar swapping. Hers is that she gets back, into her drug life.
When is she dating Benny? Before or after Angel dies?
Like, so before Angel dies, Roger breaks up with her because Benny puts on this whole scene where he's like, all right. God. So Mimi tries to go convince Benny to unlock their apartments, like to let them get back into their apartments.
To let them live for free.
Which Benny had already agreed to have done and then went back on. That was a big part of it. Benny had, upon them moving into this apartment, told them that they were going to be living there for free.
Well,
and then went back on it.
How long is that going to reasonably last? Obviously, that's not going to last forever.
Don't make insane promises like that if you're,
No,
So
it's totally reasonable that they should start paying rent after living there for free for like 2 years.
So Benny had told them that they were going to live there for free. Then he changed his mind because his girlfriend wanted to buy the property. His girlfriend's father wanted to buy the property.
Sounds reasonable.
So Benny comes down to kind of convince them to, like, make a deal to organize this. They refuse because the deal involves evicting a lot of homeless people from a lot nearby. Whatever.
That's not why they refuse. They refuse because they don't want to get jobs.
They have jobs, but
no, they don't.
But that is it's admittedly a huge part of it, especially for Mark.
Which one's
that's
Mark?
His shtick. Mark is Anthony Rapp, the self-insert for Jonathan Larson, the Observer character. Camera guy.
Oh, right. And then he gets a job for like one day and he's like selling out.
He gets a job. He does like several shows for Buzzline, which is like, I think would be like TMZ. If I had to
right.
If I had to like make it a real life thing, I think it would be like TMZ. It's kind of gossipy, but it has real bits to it. It has, some reality in it, but it's very much a gossip show.
That's fine.
So he films the protest on that, and he gets kind of famous, and then Sarah Silverman is there. She's in the movie. She's perfectly cast as the agent for Buzzline.
Oh.
I love her.
Remember. In general?
I really love her. Yeah, I was really excited for her to be there.
I can see you loving Sarah Silverman.
Yeah. Well, because in the play, that's one of the characters you never see. You only hear about them.
Yeah.
And in the movie, you get to see them, and it's just a perfect...
I guess she's okay.
All right. So then Benny is now concerned about Mimi. They're all concerned about Mimi.
Yeah.
She's disappeared from the club. She's not picking up her medication, blah, blah.
She OD'd 2 weeks prior.
Roger came home. Him and Mark are in their apartment as normal. And as normal, it's juxtaposed with the beginning of the show. Collins, again, comes home from his latest, teaching gig or whatever.
Who the fuck is Collins?
Tom Collins, Angel's
Oh, okay.
Partner.
Okay.
So he asked them to throw down the key, same as last year. It's like a year later from when the play had started.
Oh, right.
He comes up. He's celebrating now that, like, he is doing a new program at MIT, and that also he has rigged an ATM locally to give out free money to homeless people. You know, the usual shit. So anyway, so the three of them are like actually celebrating for the first time again, and then Mimi and Joanne shout up from the street level that they found Mimi in the park.
Mimi and Joanne shout out? Maureen and Joanne show up.
Maureen and
okay.
Yeah, is that what I said? Okay, so Maureen and Joanne show up.
Okay.
Shout up to the apartment that they need help because they have Mimi there. She's sick, freezing, probably withdrawal, like all kinds of things. She's incoherent. So they bring her up, and then Roger sings the worst song of the entire play to her. It's
really long, too.
It's really long. It's really bad. However, it's literally a transcribed version of the Musetta's Waltz to new lyrics. So it's poignant to what the play is supposed to be an homage to.
All right.
But it's a bad song. I'm just going to say it's a bad song.
Can we just call it a necromancy spell?
Yeah, it's a necromancy spell.
Cool.
So then it does. I mean, honestly, Mimi Marquez has no real reason to wake up and for her fever to break, but she just does anyway. And she wakes up and she, feels, alive again, and it's wonderful. But the point is that this show is about the struggles of the people in their day-to-day, and that there's not really a happy ending. The happy ending is that, yeah, Mimi's probably still gonna die. She's gonna need extensive rehab at the very least. And can she afford that? Probably not.
But they have each
probably
other.
gonna move back to Connecticut, and Maureen's gonna keep cheating on Joanne. Like, there's there's not really like a whole lot of super happy ending to that. But it's still, overall, I think it's a really good and important play.
I think it's very important also for moving towards queer representation in mainstream media
and
telling queer stories.
Avalon, because it's really hard. I will tell you, it's not like super easy to absorb through the movie. The movie, I think, is decent-ish, but it still misses a lot. But I think in terms of getting like the emotional impact of it, I think something that would be great for you to listen to and for everybody to listen to is Anthony Rapp did a musical memoir because he was the first actor that he was not only the first actor that was cast by Jonathan Larson, but he was also he was cast as the character that Jonathan Larson inserted into himself. And Anthony Rapp was still coming out of the closet to his family while
that sounds fun.
While that was happening.
Yeah. And
as many people will know, Jonathan Larson died before he got to see Rent make it to Broadway.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had been extremely successful off Broadway, and he would have heard the news probably a couple of days later. But he died off stage. It was
because he was
sudden. It was very sudden. No, he had a neurological undiagnosed thing. He died very suddenly.
That's fucking intense.
Yeah. And so Anthony Rapp kind of went through the entire building blocks process with him.
Yeah.
And so his memoir is it's beautiful, and at the same time, like, as he was going through this, his mom was battling cancer. Like, there's so much that Anthony Rapp's story entwined with Rent was so poignant. So honestly, if you
that sounds,
I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
It's called Without You. And
were they in love?
No, Jonathan Larson was straight, Anthony Rapp was in a relationship, his first serious one, and had just come out to his mom like during the like rehearsal stages of.
It would be so much better if they were in love, though.
Yeah, I think true to the character that he wrote, Jonathan Larson really was like he really felt outside of this, bubble that he was watching, and he was watching people suffer, and he wanted to write about that, even though he was, I think, because it's interesting because all the people close to him all report that they never knew anything about him being sick, but I feel like just based on the character he wrote about him being like, I don't know, I feel like he probably knew. Yeah. And he was not, all these characters were not taking care of their illnesses and not, I don't know. And I just think that he maybe knew.
I am so glad that you had the experience of seeing that show when you did.
I did see it again years later with what wound up being like a partial cast. Like Idina Menzel was still in it, and probably a couple other people. But at that time I saw it with my family, and I felt very uncomfortable because I still felt that urge when like the crowd started like cheering for gayness. Yeah. I was very tempted, but my family was like, like next to me, like, rough. But nothing will beat the full Broadway cast, and we got to do a Q&A with them afterwards. And Ryan, I'll never forget, Ryan got to walk up to Anthony Rapp and gave him a hug, and like Ryan was wearing the same fucking scarf as him, and Anthony Rapp was like, "You remind me of me when I was a teenager." And like for Ryan, that was like huge.
And for Ryan's girlfriend too.
And for Ryan's girlfriend, who was, I mean, I hope she's figured it out by now. So, we're gonna be good. It's just a huge, it's a huge deal, that show. And also, Jonathan Larson's story is tragic. To not like see the success of something like that is really heartbreaking. And I don't know. I love it. I love Rant.
I know. I love everything you're saying about it except for it.
You just don't love the show itself.
I just don't love
which
the
is
show.
Fine.
I'll see it whenever it comes back, like Angels in America did. I'll see it.
Oh, well, you missed so many good things in the movie, like Contact. Contact is one of my favorite moments in the show. It's totally cut out of the movie, and I don't know how else to describe it. There's no way to describe it to you. There's no like real lyrics. I wish, Jodie Foster. So Jodie Foster's father is an alien. That's the premise of Rent. And I mean, oh God, though, can we talk about that medicine cabinet scene in the beginning? One of the best cinematography moments of all time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. I've definitely seen that movie, and I was not just making a reference that I didn't fully understand.
Oh, okay. So anybody who's seen Contact,
which is everyone,
I'm not going to
go into it.
Especially
me. I own it on Blu-ray.
Do you know what Blu-ray is, or are you
it's
making
like
that
DVDs,
part up
but
too?
Better.
Okay. It just sounds like you just made up the word Blu-ray
because you heard it. I'm not entirely convinced that Blu-rays aren't made up. Just as an excuse to make you buy your DVD again. But
I think
really,
that's what
it's still
Steve
a DVD.
Irwin. Yeah.
Diana, don't talk about Steve Irwin.
What? He would want to be talked about. He's a legend.
Don't make him a butt of a joke.
I think
Diana, if he hadn't pulled it out, he would still be alive.
What? Is that real?
Yeah.
That's true?
Yeah.
That's fucked.
He bled out immediately, but he would have been fine if he had left it in, and they would have gotten him to the hospital.
That's so weird. I feel like he would have known that.
It was instant. It was like, there's a thing, pull. Like.
Oh, yeah, instinct. Yeah, you can't fight that. Oh, God.
Now I feel bad.
Who knew we'd wind up here in this episode of Femsplain?
I don't know. This whole thing's been a real fucking downer. I think that this was inevitably where it was going to end.
In Steve Irwin's death.
Yes.
Okay.
But he would not have died not only if he hadn't pulled it out, but also if those fucking privileged kids that just pay their fucking rent.
Steve, now introducing
this is
Benny
my Rent fan
as
fiction.
played by Steve Irwin.
Yeah. They set into motion a series of events, much like a butterfly creates a tsunami that caused his death.
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher. So, all right. So, do you have any questions? I guess we haven't really done questions in this episode.
I've actually really appreciated the amount of explanation around the topic in this episode.
Yeah, I actually did explain shit.
Yeah, that was novel and it was nice. Do you know, or do you have the context for its influence in terms of Broadway and musical theater? Not about queer topics, but like rocking it up. Like, do you think that was a thing?
Oh, interesting.
Because I would think it would have to be because it like won everything.
Yeah, the rock opera thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other rock operas that made it big.
I don't know.
You know, I'm thinking there were a lot of shows that did new groundbreaking formats after that. Not necessarily the rock opera, but like we had a lot of things like Stomp happened and like
Right.
and like oh god, what the fuck was it with the puppets?
Fucking I don't know. Avenue Q.
Thank you, Avenue Q.
I didn't know that
So-
had puppets in it. I
It was
just
only
know that it
puppets.
was.
It
Oh.
was just puppets. It was just puppets doing a musical. So like I guess maybe
And you know what? So indirectly, it led to
new formats or like new approaches to
Now
musical
I have
theater
to
maybe.
fucking
I don't
Google this.
know. I mean, you know, it the whole look, I love to suck the dick of Sondheim and Cole Porter all day as much as the next lasts.
Yeah, everyone loves
But
Sondheim.
but that style of musical theater kind of has died out, and I think at the very least Rent is a part of that transition away from
Cats.
Cat's style of musical theater and to have different approaches to it.
What I was gonna say is that if Rent inspired Avenue Q, then Rent indirectly is responsible for Jeff Dunham.
Wow. That's a horrible use of the transitive property, and I want to arrest you.
Yeah, I stand by it.
I'm so offended. I can't.
And if you think about Jeff Dunham's comedy, each one of
Which
his
I
puppets
try not to.
Each one of his puppets, I think, resembles a character from Rent.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna audience. Please tell me which characters from Rent represent which
Jeff Dunham
Jeff
puppets.
Dunham puppets.
Yeah,
Please, I'm begging you.
I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know if that'll happen, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, Jeff Dunham,
Yeah.
original cast of Rent.
Uh-huh.
Opening night gets replaced by this Anthony Rapp guy. Jeff Dunham never lives it down. Never forgives himself.
Mm-hmm.
Voila.
There it is. That's the Jeff Dunham origin
Origin
story that no one asked for. Now we know it. Wonderful.
Great.
All right. So, oh boy. I feel exhausted. I feel like I need to go watch Rent.
Ugh.
I feel like I want to sing it a lot. And I feel like, all right, so what I want, I can't have. Because what I really want is for you to watch it live on Broadway. And
Right.
know
I
they
can
can't
watch a
have it.
tape of it.
There's a great
I'm sure.
live recording. So with the two actors that were recast for the film were Mimi Marquez because of the pregnancy, but also Joanne was recast. And the actress who played Joanne in the film, I don't know why she was recast.
Who's Joanne?
The actress that Maureen's nice girlfriend that deserves better.
Have I asked this question like 3 times in this episode?
No, you haven't. You haven't asked this one at all. We haven't talked about Joanne at all.
Who shows up
Joanne's-
to say that Mimi is dead in the park?
It's Maureen and Joanne. They're back together, and they find her in the park. And
Got it. I think I definitely have asked this question already. All right, so
Okay.
Joanne got recast.
Joanne is the level-headed lawyer who's totally normal and deserves better than Maureen.
Yeah.
So anyway, she was recast, but the woman cast as her in the movie has then since become the actress that's played her on Broadway and in multiple other shows going forward. Since then. So there's a live cast recording with her that's really well done. It's really well recorded, and it has everything in it. There's no, you won't be missing anything. You'll see every number, and it's good.
But it is or is not the original cast?
It's not the original cast.
Well, that's what I want to see.
There's no live recording of the
That
original
doesn't make any
cast.
sense. It won too many awards for that to be true.
I know, but they didn't used to do that.
They didn't have videos yet. They used to do that because when I was in
No, they
daycare,
did
I
it
had to
with
watch
cats.
an old ass copy of Sweeney Todd with Angela Lansbury like every day. So don't tell me they didn't do that.
No, I'm not saying they didn't do it.
What
but
about that Peter Pan with a lady on the cover?
Mary Martin? So okay. First of all, it is old, but it wasn't a Broadway live recording. That was a studio recorded.
Oh, really?
A show, yeah.
I never watched it. I just always made fun of the cover with my friends.
First of all, watch it. Mary Martin is a vision. It's perfect. The shadow puppet scene in the beginning. I'll kill you, Avalon. This is great. You need to watch it. Mary Martin's Peter Pan is a vision. Anyway, what I would like is for you to watch any live recording of Rent. I'll send you that one. Ideally, I would love for you to see Rent live, but I know that that's not real. So
you and Francis can put it on for me.
Yeah, me and Francis will do a 2-man show of a 6-person ensemble cast.
That's good.
Play. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. We're good.
Do you have any questions for me about Rent?
All right, you watched the movie, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything about it that you did like? Some characters,
I liked Angel.
Yeah, Angel's good.
Yeah, I liked Angel and Angel's partner.
Collins, yeah.
And there's probably a song I liked, but I don't remember. I liked it when Maureen's character got hit by a bus graphically.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Are you...
And I like looking at Rosario Dawson.
Girls? Yeah, Rosario Dawson was
I
great.
just look at her, that's fine.
Yeah.
I liked that it reminded me of a good musical movie based on La Boheme.
Which is?
Moulin Rouge.
I'm very conflicted right now because I also love Moulin Rouge, but I feel like saying that is me being baited into saying that Rent is not a good representation of La Boheme.
Rent just reminded me of modern adaptations or things inspired by La Boheme. And then I was like, oh, Moulin Rouge is a movie that I would rather be watching right now. Rent also reminds me of my favorite musical and one of the best movies of all time, Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh, yeah.
Which I did just look up and came out 2 years after Rent, and probably means it was inspired by Rent on some level.
It 100% was.
Well, maybe it could have come out. If it came out first, I would have been really happy. It's just 2 years.
No.
Anyway,
no, it didn't.
if you want to talk about a fucking theater writing genius whose name is Jonathan Cameron Mitchell's over Jonathan Larson any day.
Wow. All right, that's gonna be an episode. I want to hear you go off about Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
I could talk about it for a while.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I also kind of want to talk a lot at length about Moulin Rouge because
We can do a Moulin Rouge episode.
I will never forget. You know what? Yeah, let's do a Moulin Rouge episode.
I can't wait to find out what you'll never forget.
Yeah, you're gonna find out next time on fucking Pimsplain. So
let's cosplay them.
Okay.
I'll be Satine, obviously.
Yeah. Obviously you will.
You'll
Obviously
be Ewan
I'll.
You'll be
I was
Toulouse
not going to
Lautrec.
say that. I was going to say I'll be Toulouse. I'll be
Yeah.
the narcoleptic Argentinian.
No. Oh, you're not the narcoleptic Argentinian.
I maybe should be the narcoleptic Argentinian.
No, you're definitely Toulouse.
That's fine too. Is Toulouse the sitar?
The instrument?
Yeah.
No, he's the dwarf.
Yeah, he
Played
plays
by-
the sitar
No, he
in
doesn't.
the play that they put on.
Yeah.
Yeah. don't act like I don't know what I'm talking
No,
about.
I forgot that part. That's me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're the sitar.
I'm the sitar.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Oh God, Avalon. That's Rent.
My
we're
advice
at-
for people when it comes to Rent, skip the movie, maybe listen to the soundtrack, and pay your rent, or else you'll become addicted to heroin.
Yeah, this is Avalon with life tips here at Femsplained. Pay your rent and don't do heroin.
Yeah.
I happen to agree. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't feel like that was too out of line, that advice.
No. Very, very mainstream advice. Anywho, please send us stuff. I want lots of stuff.
I don't want any
you to
shit from
engage.
you.
I do. I love it all.
Hold on, let's try
Thank
to
you.
remember all the stuff you requested this episode. Rent characters, Jeff Dunham puppets. I know you asked for something else. Rent, was it just Rent stories?
Oh, yeah, I definitely want to hear what Rent meant to you when you first saw it or when you first heard about it.
I want everybody to just go ahead and email in and confirm that they know what the worst lyric from the movie is.
Please, I can't wait to get a bunch of emails that just say Spanish babies.
Hold on. The whole line is worse. What is the whole thing?
Like where the Spanish babies cry. The Spanish babies cry. I just made it very country, and that's not like,
It's probably an
all
improvement.
but
Why are the Spanish? Why are the babies Spanish?
she can't sleep. She can't because she is a Spanish person living in New York City.
How
in a
does she
Spanish
know
neighborhood.
the ethnicity of the babies crying?
She's saying that it reminds her of home because hearing Spanish babies crying reminds her of her.
I
life
feel like
at
the
home.
implication is that the babies are crying in Spanish.
I don't think that that's the implication at all.
And there's
I
something
think
about their cry that lets her know that they have Spanish-speaking parents.
I think she just knows because she lives in that neighborhood.
But she doesn't know. She doesn't know all the
No.
babies there are from Spain.
I could go on, but
How
I
about
feel
the
like
babies crying, some of whom come from Latinx households?
Yes, I think that maybe doesn't fit into a song, but like I think yes.
Fit it in there.
God damn it, Jonathan Larson.
Baby.
How dare you.
Baby. I just called you baby because I got caught up in
I'm
the
okay
Spanish
with it.
babies. Ugh,
Finally,
I don't
we're
call anyone
past that
baby.
landmark.
Diana,
Yes.
I have to end this because I have to go get some sleep before the Spanish babies wake up
Yeah, and start waking
crying.
you up.
Yeah.
That's fine. I have to go straight to bed immediately.
Good luck with all those Spanish babies around.
I know they're not going to let me sleep. All right.
Oh.
Avalon, thank you for what?
Oh no, go.
I was going to say thank you for letting me really, really go off about Rent.
Yeah, thank you
Tonight.
for
This is-
totally ruining any chance I had of being funny and shitty.
You
with
were
your
so funny and shitty.
extremely emotional and heartwarming and amazing journey.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to ruin things with my genuine feelings. But you can still hang out with us at Femsplained, in between now and the next episode.
Yeah. You can
Yeah.
do that on Instagram. Probably, honestly, the best. I think that's the only thing we're active on is Instagram.
That's not true at all. I tweet a lot.
And it's at Femsplain Podcast. Yeah, I wouldn't know because I don't open the Twitter app because I just don't have the energy for more social
Ramona,
media.
Take a chill pill. So we're at Femsplain Podcast on Instagram. We're at Femsplain Cast on Twitter. We're at Femsplain Podcast on YouTube. At Femsplain Podcast on Facebook. And we're all over this shit. Really just Femsplained Podcast. We are not the Femsplained podcasters, just by the way. Those are famous people, and that's dumb.
Yeah, and also we had this name first. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
And
they
I kind of
started
feel
after
like
us.
I did a lot of Googling before we picked a name to make sure we weren't ripping anyone off. And guess what? If you Google, really easy to find us.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Also, I think that they are like sponsored by BuzzFeed, so give us money.
They're sponsored by Buzzline, and that's really shady. And I think that they're just in it for a quick buck.
Is Buzzline something that's ripping off BuzzFeed, or is Buzzline the name of that stupid thing from that thing we just talked about? God damn it! Don't pull it back around like that on me.
So anyway, you can interact with us on those things. You can also email us, please, femsplainedpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you to everyone who's emailed. I mean,
what emails? I've never seen these emails, Diana. You never tell me about them.
I've given you the password.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can just log on yourself.
No, just tell me.
Okay, I'll just tell you about them. But no, I love getting those emails. I love getting pictures. If you send in more pictures of turtles, memes about anxiety, I will be putting them up on the Instagram on our story, and I'm going to save them all. So please, I love that the most. So
does anyone ever email like, wow, Avalon was so right about that thing she said, and Diana was like, not quite right? Does anyone ever email and say, Avalon is so funny?
Most of the time people email and say, like, you're both wrong.
Really?
Well, we did get one today on Instagram. We got a DM today telling us that we were wrong about Sailor Moon.
Fuck you. What were we wrong about?
I don't know, because that's not my topic.
What were we wrong about? Get your phone out. Mine's in the other room.
Okay. Sailor Moon Usagi.
Yeah.
Is annoying, but she is me. Cry face, cry face, cry face.
Oh, that's some
also
shit.
Later in the series, she gains more agency. Season 1, she is definitely a big old baby. I definitely did not respond in my mind to inaccuracies at all. Laugh face, laugh face.
So
laugh
we've
face.
only alluded to inaccuracies. We have not called out
we have
specific
not
inaccuracies.
pointed them out. No, we don't know what they are. I would like to hear more though. Avalon's making a face like she's ready to throw down. And I hope we get to see this.
I actually, if it's done, because that sounds like an awesome listener who engaged and is really nice. I'm just being sassy. If it's done in a non-shitty way, I'm really open actually to people pointing out the things that we fuck up so that we can like address them.
Oh yeah, I mean Coheed and Cambria fucking directly did so in exactly the non-shitty way that I want.
Yeah, just because it gives me a funny opportunity to like engage with what we did wrong and why I thought it was the wrong thing.
Yeah,
we'll see with Sailor Moon. That one's hitting pretty close.
I know.
All right, listeners.
All right, listeners. Goodbye.
Go pay your rent.
Pay your rent. Pay Femsplained.
Pay us for our emotional labor.
Yeah.
Did you get an undercut?
What?
Oh, I thought you had an undercut.
I've literally always had an undercut.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a little grown in right now, but this is literally...
I didn't know that's what was going on with your hair.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was just, like, asymmetrical.
Oh, no. It's a mohawk.
Wow.
It's long. Yeah.
You're so cool.
Yeah. Wow. See me? Stunting. Yeah.
See me.
That is how I feel. All right,
Jesus
eat
Christ,
your
go to
fucking
sleep.
fish. Goodbye.
Bye.